in real life, where the stakes are high, where people are counting on you, where money matters, where projects need to get done, get at it. Wake up, warrior. Get up, get at it. Go to work, get the job done. Like, don't wait. Hey everybody, it's Brendon Burchard, and welcome to our High Performance Monthly. It's super awesome. I feel good, I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm thrilled to be here. And we're here specifically today to talk about how you don't let that happy, crazy thing allow your year to get away, allow you to kind of fall into a rhythm of not taking your projects seriously, your health seriously. So as much as I'm happy-go-lucky Brendon today, I'm gonna bust on you a little bit, and let's use this as a sort of checkup, but also more about how do we accelerate to the end of the year so you get so much more done. A lot of people completely take their foot off the gas, which I love. I'm all for going for vacations, and I'm really focused on making sure that I crush it these next couple of months. So I wanna congratulate you for being here, because ultimately today's gonna be a real gut check to how much you can accomplish this year, and I love to do that right now at this time of year. I'm gonna cover 5 things that are gonna absolutely accelerate your ability to get more done this year, and you're gonna love these. I'm gonna help you prioritize, I'm gonna help you quit some things, start some new things, I'm gonna help you get yourself in order for the rest of the year. This session, bust out your journal. I'm gonna ask you some tough questions. We're gonna do some real high performance work here about planning an exceptional remainder of your year. And I know it might take a mental shift, because this time of year, like I said, a lot of people are kind of, they're resting on their laurels, or they're just having that extra Corona every day. And you know, it's my favorite time to get really strategic about the rest of the year. I got people counting on me. I always love to start high performance sessions with asking, who needs you on your A game? There's probably somebody in your life who really needs you to perform well the rest of the year, who needs you to make more money for the family, who needs you to get that promotion, who needs you to finish that project, who needs to see you be the role model that you are. And so it's important sometimes to kind of baseline ourselves and go, oh wow, I better do a real good check-in here, because you know, I mean, this year went by so fast. I can't believe it's July. I mean, it blows my mind. So I'm getting really serious right now, and we're gonna do a real strategic session with you, and we're gonna jump right in because I have a ton to give you today. First idea, remember, these are 5 things to help you accelerate your achievement by the end of the year. Write them down in your journal, and let's get in your head thinking about the rest of the year, okay? Number 1, big, huge thing. 1 hour more per day on my core 3. First move, I know I need to identify what are the core 3 things right now that have been bringing me results this year? The core 3 things. So as an example, because I'm an entrepreneur like many of you guys are, in my business I go, okay, what are the 3 primary revenue drivers we have right now? Because just like you, if you're in marketing, you probably tested a lot of things throughout the early part of the year, the spring, even early part of the summer. So my question is, what's been working? And I mean absolutely working. What are the 3 absolute best things that are working for you? In your business, or your career, or your personal life if you're not employed or not self-employed. Like, what's absolute, like the 3 things that are so working for you? I want you to know what those 3 things are. And overall, I want you to give an hour every day more to a focus of 1, 2, or 3, all 3 of those things. So let me give you an example. Right now, in my business, right, one of my core 3 is our book funnel. Like, so for me, as you guys know, as an author and a trainer, when I sell books, that's good for the business. We sell books, then people want online courses, then they want to come to our seminars, then someday they might join our program like we're doing here, our live events or our masterminds, or they might hire us for a coach, or they might hire me for speaking. But the book is a big core 3 for the business, right? And so right now I go, okay, I need every single day, the rest of this year, to give more time to that thing. Every day, not on a Wednesday, not on a Saturday. Like every day, I need to check in the numbers, create a new ad, flip out a page. I need to lead my team better on it. Something every day for that one thing. Make sense? So if you got 3 things, what I want an hour more. So that might be in 20 minutes, and 20 minutes. So you're giving 20 minutes more each day, or maybe you just choose one and you're gonna give that an hour more a day. But it's basically this: 1 more work hour of the day focused on one of the core 3. Got it? Write it down. And this, for you, I want you to start this today. Today. If that means you're watching this in Munich, Germany, and we finish this tonight and you stay up 1 more hour, I'm like, cheers, man, do that. But it's like today, for those of you who are here in the US, in this time zone, I'm like, today, 1 more hour on focusing. I often call it the core 3 or the needle movers, the primary 3 things that are working. I need an hour more from you a day for the rest of the year. And you will thank me for the next decade. You're like, oh my God, Brendon. Because what happens is, and you know this, you're getting caught up in distraction. People start spending their time on stupid stuff because they think they got all year. But you know how fast, like once September hits, it's foot on the gas. And guess what? It's Thanksgiving. And guess what? It's Christmas and New Year's. And you felt it every single year. All of a sudden you're in like November, you're like, oh my God, it's Thanksgiving already. And so right now people are lackadaisical and they're not focused on the right things. So I want you to think, where are you distracted? I want you to clear out the distractions. I want you to say, the core 3 things in my business are, and I need you to give an hour or more a day on those. That's it. If you'll start that now and you'll punch in that hour more every day until Thanksgiving, I promise your Christmas will be unbelievable. People are always surprised at how myself, my team, we SWAT team the fall. We do like 4 or 5 events. We're out on the road. I'm like totally booked. Like I'm slammed in September. But I always know that in the summer, because right now I start thinking, what are the main things? The other thing I do though, I'm able to do all that because right now, this time of year, I identify what's been working and I kind of double down on those, give them more, 1 hour more. Because think about, maybe you're like a coach or a certified high performance coach or a business coach or a life coach. And you're like, I've been doing this one thing, it's been giving me most of my clients. I'm like, well, that would be one of the core 3. Do that more, an hour a day. And then thank me 2 months from now. I need 1 more hour, guys. 1 more hour a day on the core 3. So it's 2 parts here, right? You need to identify your core 3. What are the core 3 things that are working the best for you? And then how are you gonna get that hour? And how are you gonna divvy that up? Is that hour more each day? You're gonna do 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes for an hour a day? Or are you gonna focus on, okay, this week, 1 hour a day, more on this core number 1. Next week, 1 more hour a day on core number 2 or 3. I don't know what it is for you, but I need that hour. 1 more hour a day on the core 3, either all of them together or 1 at a time. I promise you, if that's all you get for the next hour and a half from me, you will thank me. I will get the best Christmas cards from you. I mean, they'll be filled up with the money. And it'll be like, I'll be so excited to get your Christmas cookies because you'll be like, Brendon, thank you so much. That 1 hour core 3 thing, I achieved more in the second half of this year than I've ever achieved in the second half of a year, my entire life. 1 hour, guys, 1 hour. Second big idea. And I love this one. Significant growth rule. And here's what the significant growth rule means. I look at everything I'm doing right now, everything for my business right now. And I go, okay, of all these things I'm doing, which ones will lead to significant growth this year? Which ones will lead to significant growth this year? Everything else I start pushing out on the calendar. Whether I push it out 2, 3, 4 months from now, or I push it till next year. But I do a real close look at all of my activities. I look at my partnerships, my relationships. I look at everything I'm doing in terms of marketing funnels or brand building or what I'm doing in the marketplace or what I'm doing in my career. And I go, which ones of these things are leading to significant growth? And if it's not leading to significant growth, I need to minimize that time. Now I know you might say, well, what's the difference between like a core 3 and a significant growth rule. Well, the significant growth rule is for the rest of the year, right? The core three, you already know. The core three are the three things you're already doing to getting results. The significant growth rule is all these new ideas people are gonna give you and put on your plate. Everyone's gonna give you some more things to do, right? There's gonna be new opportunities. And every new opportunity or every new idea, your thing has to be at this time of year, will that lead to significant growth this year? If it is, maybe you can add that on to your workload. Because remember, I'm just asking for an hour here. Maybe you can add that on. But if a project comes your way and it doesn't lead to significant growth at this stage of the year, and it won't lead to significant growth the rest of this year, I'm out. I'm out. So I turned down 2 or 3 projects just last night from people. Good ideas, great ideas. But I know those won't lead to significant growth until next year. So I'm like, not till next year. Because I know that instead, if I focus on these things, the core 3, or other projects that I do know lead to significant growth, in other words, significant growth is a way for you to prioritize and say no. I don't want you taking on any new projects at this stage of the year if you don't believe they'll lead to real growth by the end of the year, because you could just focus on these more, right? It's that old story of Acres of the Diamonds. You know, people travel all around the world looking for the treasure and working so hard, looking for the new thing. And then they come home and one day they put the spade in the backyard and they dig up some diamonds, right? Often your next big breakthrough, it's already in your yard. You know, what I tell people all the time, you've probably already met the person who's gonna help you generate your next $100,000, your next $1 million. Like you already met, they're already in your network. But you're spending all this time to go do all these other things. You already met the person who's gonna make you your next $1 million, or give you access to an audience, or give you access to an opportunity. You've already met the person, but you're out there searching for new. And you're accepting all these new ideas. And as you accept new ideas as a high performer, what does that do? That crowds out other things. And so from this day forward until the end of the year, I want you to have the significant growth rule. Will this project lead to significant growth by the end of the year? If not, table it. People always say, but Brendon, I don't know, if I pass up that opportunity, it might not ever come around again. I'm like, what are you, 20 years old? Only 20-year-olds believe that. By the time you're 30 and 40, you kind of recognize things come into your life in waves and in circles and in rhythms. And you don't worry that one day you're gonna run out of opportunities. That's that FOMO stuff. Leave that to the 20 and 30-year-olds. You're ready. You got it. Like the world is never gonna dry up of opportunities on you one day, right? The only way that would ever happen is if your mindset closed out everything because of fear. But the world, man, have we ever lived in a time of more opportunity? So don't worry about saying no to something that isn't significant growth for you. Focus on your core 3 or everything else you're doing in your brand, your business that is working or could lead to significant growth. That's number 2. Third big idea, which I love, is my 45-day quit rule. Now, this is one of those things I think I mentioned in the email announcing this. You guys aren't gonna wanna do. There's 2 things on here I know you're not gonna wanna do. This one I forced myself to do. Here's what the 45-day quit rule is. And it's hard for me. I hate this one. I look at all my big project ideas. You know, I don't know about you, but I have a journal with all my big ideas in it, you know, or I have my vision board, or I have an Excel spreadsheet of all these different ideas and projects I want to do. And I've got, like, you know, right, as an example right now, I know my next 6 books I'm going to write. I know them. I know my next 3 campaigns I'm going to launch. I know them. But here's what I have to force myself to do, and I don't like it. I say, okay, if this is a major project that I want to do, even if it could lead to significant growth, if I'm not going to start it, listen to this, if I'm not going to start it in the next 45 days, it's off my plate until next year. I just get real. I go, okay. And I'm like, okay, well, if I'm not gonna start on this thing by the early fall, I'm not gonna do it. And I literally just take it from my journal, in my little bucket of things I wanna do this year, and I put it out, and I feel so mentally relieved. A lot of people have a lot of anxiety about the number of projects they have on their plate that they really want to do. And so what ends up happening is that anxiety leads to a lot of procrastination. That anxiety leads to a lot of poor prioritization because there's so much to do. They're like, oh my God, there's so much to do here, so I won't do any of it. Ever had that? Have you ever found yourself in front of Netflix going, oh my God, I have so much to do, but I just watched the 4th video in the 3rd season. Has that ever happened? You have so much to do, and that's the problem. You have so much to do that you haven't prioritized what you are going to do, so you don't do anything. So what I do is this time of year, I look at all those things that are on my plate and I get honest. Which ones am I gonna start in the next 45 days? And if I'm not gonna start in the next 45 days, now it's not even on my mental concern. It's not even on my dashboard. No anxiety there. No, oh my God, I still gotta get that one in. Nope, it's gone. You know, it's like one of our clients and friends, Ariana Huffington, always says, the best way to complete a project is to quit it. Just like, well, I'm done with this, just stop. And now all the mental concerns, like once you allow yourself to release from a project, it's so freeing. And now your mind can go back to these two. What's gonna be significant growth and what's going to be my core 3? And now life gets easier because when you clarify, when you prioritize, and you take like 50 things, when you take a list of 50 things down to 3 or 5, confidence comes back in, motivation comes back in, focus comes back in. Many people lose their focus because they have too long of a to-do list. That's not realistic, that's not motivating, that's honestly full of a lot of things that are like 6 months out. I'm like, get rid of those. If they're 6 months out, don't have them on your to-do list anymore. Go have a journal that's like your January 1st journal and go park them in there like a parking lot. Take those projects and those ideas. That's in my January 1st. It's not even on my mental concern anymore. I have tons of, that frees me. It's like, how come, Brendon, how do you get so much done? I'm like, I'm not worried about the things I'm not getting done. How do you get so much done, Brendon? I'm not worried about the things I'm not getting done because I parked them. They're over there. They're not on my mental dashboard. Clarity, confidence, motivation, focus comes back in. So I got to be razor clear about what's on the dashboard and what's not. That's the 45-day quit rule. I encourage you to challenge yourself to try it. Okay, 4th big idea, the deliver excellence rule. This is another prioritization move for me. It's like, okay, someone throws a big opportunity to me. It could lead to significant growth. I could get it going, but it compromises the deliver excellence rule, which is, wait, if I take on anything here, would that prevent me from delivering what I already promised the best that I could? Like for me, I'm very stretched in my schedule. I mean, very stretched. I got to get a lot done during the day. Big team, big brand, big business, big clients. I got to be good. But lots of great opportunities come my way that could be significant growth this year. But then the second level of that evaluative tool is to say, if I do that though, will that steal away from something I already promised to somebody I care about or who's important to our business? Will that make me fail to deliver what I wanted to deliver? And so I got to be honest and I got to prioritize. And I am like, if you saw how much I work to prioritize things, doesn't mean I don't leave things. I mean, I'm sure my team could tell you 100 things I haven't done that I'm supposed to or whatever. So it doesn't mean I'm perfect. It just means I work really hard at it. I'm very diligent and focused on it because I got people counting on me. I got you. And I know you got people counting on you too. So if some new thing comes in and I'm talking about the next 6 months, I'm talking about all the way until the end of the year. If something comes up and it's like this great idea, but it doesn't lead to significant growth, or you're not gonna start it, park it. But also, if it is something that you could get going and it would lead to significant growth, but it's gonna screw up what you already promised, don't break your integrity. Put that thing back in that parking lot, It will give you so much mental freedom. Your tendency, high performer, to overcommit yourself is actually stealing from your ability to make good choices, to feel the day, to win the day. And so you've got to kind of reevaluate where you're at and what you're doing. I had a call a couple days back where someone had so many good ideas of what we could do. And the person they had been in my life maybe 5-6 years ago, kind of reemerged. Hey, let's do all these things. And we'll make all this money and we'll do all these things. And I had to go, you know what? I actually would love to work with you. It's not gonna happen this year. The person goes, but you have all year. I go, that's right. I've got all year. That was previously planned before you showed up out of nowhere, dude. So you gotta be willing to tell people, I'm sorry, with your fancy new idea that seems like an emergency or so important, not this year. This is the phrase I want you to write down in your journal. Not this year. Write it down, put a star next to it, write down. Everyone type it down below if you're listening to the chat roll in caps. That won't be rude. Not this year. You got to get good at that right now. Really good at that. Because look, your newfangled opportunities, that was January, February. The messiness of life, you better be on. That is why right now, you need to begin this practice. Not this year. Because you got to be thinking about the unencumbered days you got the rest of the year. It's not that much. August, you're going to enjoy the weather, maybe be out with some family, do your thing. Hasn't every year of your life, November gotten jacked up? Has December ever been really predictable to you? Probably not. Has January ever been that predictable? Now you kind of bungle in, you're excited, but it kind of becomes a little hot mess because you got those new habits, those new things you're trying to recover from all the holidays and the food. Like, we just know this is the time to really evaluate what can you deliver. And because you can't deliver everything with excellence, this is the time to go to that core 3, deliver that. Pick 1 or 2 projects that might deliver extra significant value, cool. If you're not gonna start it in the next 45 days or it's gonna compromise deliver excellence, you're gonna write this down, not this year. And I'm telling you, doesn't it feel like, just say, I know you're sitting at home and maybe this is a little weird, but just say it with me. Not this year. Does that feel good? You know, your neighbor comes around, someone comes in your business, hey, why don't you do all these things? And you're like, not this year. It feels so good. It's just like, I think I'm gonna say it all day. I think I'm gonna just walk into the next restaurant and they're like, would you like something to eat? And I was just, not this year. It just feels so good to say. I mean, just start saying it to random people. Not this year. I'm sure some of you put it on a t-shirt or on a hat. Not this year. It's like, no, just not gonna happen. That is going to make you so much more accomplished by the end of the year. Getting in a rhythm right now, not this year. Because I know that we live in a culture that's very different. Yes, I'll take it on. You know, it's never say no to everything. Say yes to everything. Well, you know what? Saying yes to everything was awesome pre-internet. I loved that rule. Yes to everything? Absolutely. Before the internet, hell no. No, not even close. Never. Yes to everything. Number 5. Hire by September. One of my favorite things. You've been thinking about hiring somebody. You haven't done it yet. I'm here to tell you, you gotta do it by September 1st. And you will love me the rest of your life. I know you've been thinking about it. Trust me, I've been thinking about it. We've been working hard. I just had a call yesterday for someone who's gonna help me onboard 10 people in this office. Like, that's scary to me. But it's like, finally, weaponized, done by September 1. So what I want you to do is have that in place. I don't do that just because I'm a busy fall season. I do that because I know there's not much time left. You know, not much time left. I wish I could get everybody onboarded every year by August 1st so they had that time. But I've told this to clients all the time. It's like, you know, the year gone by December, you know, gone by September, gone by November, gone by October. So you want to get your team in place, ready to rock that fall season out. And so hire, if you've been waiting for that virtual assistant, one day, honey, I'll hire a virtual assistant. Hire them. Just go on the internet tonight, get it done. Set up the meeting. Oh, I've needed to hire 4 more sales managers. Okay, call that headhunter company, go out to that contracting agency, contact them tonight or tomorrow morning and get that in motion. There's no reason you need to be urgent about hiring now. Now, don't do what everyone else does. Here's what happens. They get back to work, really, September, they start warming up again. And maybe I'll hire somebody, and they hire somebody, but it takes, maybe 30, 60 days to onboard them. And now that person is really, they're just getting almost decent, like almost good. And it's Thanksgiving. And they're gone for a week. And then they're back for 10 days. And they're at Christmas. And now what? So you get it. It's really important. If you've been thinking, if you're going to hire at all this year, I want you to do it in the next 30 days. If you're going to hire at all this year, force yourself, challenge yourself, put it on your agenda, get it done in the next 30 days. You will thank me all the rest of this year. Those are my 5 greatest tools for accelerating. The best things that I do in my career to accelerate. I start 1 hour more a day on my core 3 right now. I institute a significant growth rule or it's out. I look at my 40-day calendar and I get honest and I quit a bunch of things. I park it to January next year. I deliver with excellence. That allows me to say no to a ton of new things. And I hire by September, which allows me to amplify things because then by September, I got people rolling, crushing it, kicking butt all fall long. Okay? That's it. I know one of the questions we got even before we started this thing was, well, Brendon, you're talking about kicking ass the rest of the year, but I suck at discipline and I suck at prioritization. So right now we're gonna play you 2 best of hits on that as I reset for this next section. We're gonna share, well, let's play first, how do you really prioritize? And I want you guys to make sure you have these notes down. And then second, 4 ways to be more disciplined. And I really want you to take notes on these. These are great clips. And then I'll be back, how to prioritize, up right now. Hey guys, it's Brendon. Let's talk about how you prioritize things in your life, how you prioritize your tasks, your activities, your responsibilities, your obligations, your days. Because, it's kind of difficult these days to prioritize anything because there's so many people coming at you from left and right with their notices, their messages, their texts, their voice messages, their emails, begging for your time, for your attention, for your energy. And most people, I hope this is not you, just give that away so freely. You give all of your attention to everybody else and to all the world's false emergencies and to all the world's needs and all the messages and the texts and the timelines, and all of a sudden your day is gone and you had no sense of peace or progress or vitality. I hope that's not you. But if you are finding your days feeling a little frustrating, usually it comes back at some point to how you are prioritizing things during those days. Makes sense, right? So how have you been doing in this department? I mean, really think about it. Do you feel like your day's agenda has been your agenda, or is it somebody else's? Or do you even get to shape your agenda? Do you just wake up and respond to everybody all day, and that's your priority, is just responding to everybody all day? Now, if you're in customer service and that's your job, rock on, good job, keep doing that. But if it's not your job to do nothing but respond to customers all day, then we've got to have a higher conversation now and get you back in control of what your day is about. And the only way to do that is to teach you some new ways to think about your prioritization. Now, you guys know I have lots of online courses on these types of topics, from the Achievement Accelerator to the Success Accelerator to High Performance Academy and High Performance Academy Master's Course. Lots of deep dive training on this. So in this video, all I'm gonna try to do for you is just give you 3 simple takeaways, 3 new ideas, maybe a reframe of how to think about how you prioritize things. And if we do a good job there, I think you'll find tomorrow, next week, next month, and the rest of this year, you'll be on fire. You'll be back on path. Now, the first idea I have for you is stop prioritizing easy. Stop prioritizing easy. A lot of people, when they look at their to-do list of the day, they just start working towards the easy things, knocking off the easy things. They think that's gonna get me some momentum, it'll get me into the day, I'll feel like I'm succeeding. And the reality is it's making them less likely to actually do the things that count. And how do you know this? How do you know if you're guilty of that? You know it if your day feels like there's a lot of busy work, but there's an absence of your life's work. You know what I mean? if you don't feel like your activities during the day are really creating to your vitality, to the contributions you want to make with the world, to doing activities and tasks that you really enjoy, whose fault is that? Is it the man's? Is it the government's? No, it's like you're setting up your day. You can choose what to do with it. Maybe you need to look at doing things that would support you, your health, your vibrancy, your joy, your real growth and contribution in a more significant way. If you feel like there's always busy work, but it's not your life's work, you probably prioritize things at a larger level, maybe incorrectly for you. Now, I don't know this. I can't gauge it. I mean, I'm just talking you through here now as I look and as you listen to me. All I can do is encourage you to just look and say, how have I been prioritizing? Have I had a structure? Have I had a framework? Have I had ideas about what's important to me in the world? And I always run my decision-making through those? Because if you haven't set that up, this is the time to do that for yourself. First step, stop prioritizing easy. Just because there's something that's easy to do does not mean it must be done today. What I would rather you to do is say, I am going to prioritize things today that will make significant steps forward in my life. These are, I just say, the opposite of sort of prioritizing easy is to prioritize progress. Things that actually move the needle of your life forward. Things that actually contribute in ways that you find meaningful and significant and fulfilling. And you know you deserve that, but sometimes you get caught up, right? Maybe you've just been caught up in everybody else's, hot mess, and your life thus became a hot mess. It's not because you are, it's that you were just doing the easy things to please people. Because, that's easy. Oh, I'm gonna please some people today. But what we need you to do is say, what would significantly move me toward my dreams today? What 3 things must happen today that would be real movement forward? Not like little checklists. Our whole world has gotten so addicted to little tiny checklists, but they're not doing anything meaningful. They're not checking off, I'm living my life, So I want you to get back into what would really progress me today. Stop prioritizing easy, start prioritizing progress, things that matter. I want you to take on something hard every day. You do that, you'll start to find yourself getting a little more confident, a little bit more momentum, a little bit more into that space where you feel like you're doing things you were meant to do. So second thing is stop prioritizing false emergencies. Just because someone put it on your plate today does not mean you need to reply to it today. Unless it, again, is your job in customer service to reply back within 24 hours. But that is not for everybody. We've fallen into this false collective belief that we all have to reply to the text on the second we receive it, that we got to return the call the second it came in. We don't. What I always tell people, being blessed to do what I do now, it's like tens of millions of people watch these videos and watch my work every single year now. Every single week we send out 2 million emails. We talk to a lot of people. I'm out on the road, 9 months out of the year, I'm doing an event with hundreds of people traveling from dozens of countries there. I talk to a lot of people. I get a lot of feedback. And with that feedback comes a lot of requests. Brendon, could you do this for me? Brendon, could you help that? Brendon, could you endorse this? And I know you get the same thing. Could you help me? Could you do these things? I need da 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 da. And you get all of these people asking you for something. How often are you doing what they're saying and what they're asking for? The more that you're doing what the world tells you or asks of you, frankly, the sad thing is the more you lose your life. You lose yourself in it. You become a pleaser or a placater. You become a person who's just so busy all the time, you're wiped out. You know what I'm talking about. You cannot prioritize other people's emergencies. And here's what you need to do. Learn to say no. Prioritize the things that are gonna move you forward, and everything else, realize that's gotta be an initial no. And it needs to sound like this. Here's what my email literally says when I send it out to people. I say, thank you so much for your request. Really appreciate you thinking of me. However, while I recognize this is really important for you today, the reality is my plate has already been full and is packed with things that I have planned and prioritized months and months and months ago. I'm executing against a plan that has been in the works for a very long time. So I'm sorry I can't get your sudden need fit into that. I'm happy to put you in queue, but please realize it's likely you won't be hearing from me, or I won't be able to participate that, or I won't be able to do X, Y, Z, whatever they ask me of, for several months if at all. Now, people say, oh my gosh, that'd be hard to say. I was like, it's true. The first couple times I did that, it was difficult and it made me uncomfortable. It made me feel like, I wasn't being helpful to people. But what is helpful to people is you living your truth, is you serving your highest good in this world, not everybody's speedy, needy request. Look, when people come to me with an emergency, I'm okay going back to the days of self-reliance and saying, why is this an emergency for you all of a sudden? Did you not know this was due? Like, yeah, no, I knew it was due. Or someone will say, Brendon, I need this tomorrow. And here's what I love to say to them. I say, tomorrow. I said, tell you what, when would you need it? If you didn't get it by this certain day, that like your house would burn down. Like major catastrophes, oh crap, your world's gonna fall apart. I mean, the last minute of the last moment of the real deadline. Not when would you like this, not when would you prefer this, not when would it be convenient and nice for you. When would the hit the fan if you didn't get it and people would start dying, And they'll always say, oh, well, then in that case, I really don't need it for another 2 weeks. People will always tell you they need something immediately. 1, they usually don't need it. 2, if they do need it, they should have went and got it themselves and been more prepared. 3, you owe nothing to anybody but your own health, your own family, your own major true contributions of what you are and what you want to give to the world. Everybody else is a sudden distraction. That is not gonna make me popular saying that, and I get it. But that's how you have to do it. If you really want to learn how to prioritize, you have to realize every request that comes into you is a sudden distraction. It's not on your plan. I'm not saying you can't meet it. I'm not saying you can't handle it. I'm saying don't reprioritize your life's work to handle somebody else's false emergency. What I want you to do is saying, what's important to me today? And I want you to make sure you accomplish and achieve that. And then fit in everyone else's little requests as is appropriate or needed or responsible for yourself. I know it's difficult when the kids come in and they throw off a couple hours of your day because they have this sudden need or emergency. There are real obligations and responsibilities. Please live your life and manage it responsibly, but also stop doing that little thing that everyone does, giving away all their pieces of the day to anyone who asks, and suddenly they find themselves broke with time, broke with energy, broke fulfilling everybody else, and never having lived their own life. Prioritize real deadlines, real responsibilities, real obligations, and prioritize everything else as a sudden distraction. And you will start finding yourself leaping for it. Last one's much more positive. You're like, geez, Brendon, I thought you were like the positivity guy and the motivation guy. Last one's a lot more easy and more palpable for you, maybe, or palatable, I guess I would say. And that is start prioritizing freedom. Start prioritizing your ability to gain more emotional freedom, physical freedom, social freedom, financial freedom, time freedom. I love looking at people's actual day agenda and I say, where in here is freedom? Where is your ability to do a 20-minute meditation because it's gonna make you feel alive and back and grounded, connected? You don't have anything where you prioritize your own psychology today. Where are you thinking about your strategic plan? Where are you thinking about the vision for your life? Where are you daydreaming and napping if you need to do that? Where are you prioritizing your physical energy? Because if you can have physical freedom from fatigue, you'll accomplish a whole lot more, even if your priorities are not always in whack. Like if you absolutely have the the physical freedom, I should say, to be able to just cultivate energy on choice, that comes from having prioritized health during the day. What about time freedom? I mean, I think we're all after time freedom, so where are the breaks in your day? And what are you doing with those breaks? Are you reading stupid, trashy magazines? Or are you sitting and dreaming about how you can contribute more, what your next art is, what the next major thing is that you want to give or serve or be or develop as a human? You have the ability to make your days magical. And I wish someone told me that when I was younger. They said, hey, look, you are the architect of your day. How magical do you really want it to be? Make that decision today, and you will start to experience a lot more of what we call the charged life. Have you ever struggled to be more disciplined You know you got that paper due next week, but you don't do anything all week, even though you know it's coming. Or you set up a brand new habit that you're so excited about that you know can improve your life, your relationships, or your work, but you don't stick to it. Or you started that workout routine, and you got really pumped up, fired up into it. You lost a couple pounds, but then 3 weeks later it was gone. And what did you blame? You blamed your discipline. You said, I wish I was more disciplined and everything would be great. And the reality is it's true. Discipline is one of the most important things we can develop in our lives, because without that ability to be sort of self-reliant and willful to get things done on a continual basis, we never get that great amount of momentum and progress towards what we really want. And I bet there's a lot of areas of your life that could really benefit from being more disciplined, whether you're eating healthier or working out more often, or being more disciplined about doing your art on a consistent basis, or contributing, or even being more disciplined about just speaking up for yourself when you know that you should. So how can we help you find a goal and be more disciplined? That's the topic of this video. Now, I'm gonna assume a little bit that, because it's gonna be a short video, I wanna make sure that you have something in mind that you wanna be more disciplined to. So think about a major dream or a major ambition that for some reason you're like, gosh, I wish I really stuck with my sort of actions and routines more often. If you can have that in mind, then this is gonna really serve you. I have 4 ideas for you today. The first idea is to emotionally engage with that dream each morning of your life. See, a lot of people don't actually struggle with the discipline part in terms of the doing the thing. It's that they're not getting revved up to do the thing. In other words, we got a problem with motivation, not necessarily just discipline. We have a problem with that once in a while you hit it, you do the work. But a lot of times you fall off because you're not emotionally engaged in it. It's like if you want a lot of discipline, you need a high level of emotional connection and focus on that thing that you want to work towards. So every morning, what I want you to do is just start a new visualization practice. When you wake up in the morning, close your eyes, think about the dream, the aspiration, the thing that you're really after in life, and just visualize it. And really get yourself emotionally attached, emotionally engaged with it. Think about how great it will feel for you to have that thing, or be that thing, or contribute that thing, to make that difference. Just think about it, allow it to well up in your heart a little bit, get excited about it, remember the dream. That's why we get away from discipline, because we're so busy with the chaos of the world that we emotionally are no longer attached in a way that our brain says, hey man, focus on this. It's important to you, remember? So if your heart is disengaged, it's difficult to stay disciplined. So every morning, make it a practice to actually just imagine the payoff, the benefit, the contribution, the art, the thing that you do and are doing and do contribute. If you can do that more often, you'll be more fired up and you'll stay back on track. The second thing is, we gotta handle that chaos that we talked about. So I need you to do your work before you respond to the world. It's the number one thing I'm always telling people in High Performance Academy and all my other training sessions is, if you are constantly waking up in the morning and all you do is just reply to everybody, and you're replying to their texts, you're replying to their needs, you're replying to their emails, all of a sudden the day is ripped away and you find yourself out of your own routine. But if you set up your morning to win, or you set up blocks of time to win, as we'll talk about, and you do that first, do your work first, it's easier to stay disciplined. If you're saying, you know what, this year I want to, in these next couple months, I want to be more healthy, great. Get your health stuff out of the way in the morning. Create your shake, do your workout, create a healthy lunch to take to work, and you're off and going to a good start. But if you wait for the remainder of the day for discipline to strike, it never will. The third thing is what we call block time. You need to have scheduled blocks of time where that discipline happens every day, and that's the only thing that happens. Look, you can always do something every day towards your dreams. And if you believe that, it could be just something small. It could be doing a little bit of research, journaling, taking that action, creating that presentation, making that call, whatever it is for you. You can do something every day. And if you believe that, then you need time to do that. And that time, what we call block time, you say, okay, today, from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I'm only doing this thing that I need more discipline towards. And during that time, you don't check your email, you don't do your Facebook, you don't browse the internet. All that happens during that time is what you're supposed to be doing. The reason a lot of people don't have discipline in their life is they're letting their day be ruled by randomness. They don't have blocks of time that have actually been scheduled to do the thing they're supposed to do. So they're counting on sudden will. Oh, I'll get to that today, or I'll get to that someday. And of course, someday turns into never, and then they start blaming their discipline. It's not their discipline, it's the lack of a calendar that says, do this now. So schedule what you must make happen, and you'll suddenly find yourself, wow, I'm so disciplined. And then the last piece is, you gotta set up some social rewards. It's hard to stay disciplined at something if you're never getting any payoff from it. We can take that first step I told you about visualizing something. But if you get some small wins along the way and you're never celebrating with other people, then your brain says, this isn't benefiting me. And I really mean that. You have to do it with other people. You have to have that connection with others to celebrate, to keep your will intact, to keep doing the thing you're supposed to be doing. It's so important for you to do this. If you're a writer and you finish a chapter, call up a friend, say, hey, you know what? I finished the chapter I was supposed to finish today. Let's go out for a drink. If you've accomplished something at work you said you were gonna do, get everybody together, say, hey, you know what? Lunch is on me today. Let me take care of you guys for lunch. If you finally achieved something that you've been working towards for so long, you need to take some time to go out with friends and family and just talk about the process, talk about how it felt to finally complete this thing. See, if we're never celebrating, we're never gonna develop real discipline. And it's funny because too many people think those are opposite things. They think discipline can't be fun, that the discipline can't be joyful. But the masters of this life have proven that doing things in a disciplined way can also be doing things in a joyful way. And if you think discipline has to be this hard, awful, terrible thing, maybe you're never going to have discipline because you're constantly trying to fool yourself into doing things you don't want to do. And it's time to find the things that you do want to do. It's time to connect to those emotionally and to visualize those, to get other people to the party with you, to celebrate, to do the things that really matter, which is block the time to make the dang thing happen. If you'll do these things, you'll start to find yourself much more disciplined and on your way to living what we call the charged life. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that additional training on priorities and discipline and you took some notes. I know sometimes you hear these ideas and these strategies and you say that's really good and maybe I'll do it one day, but if you don't take notes and then look at the notes again tonight and look at the notes again in the morning and set something into your calendar to change your behavior, then it could all just be poof as an idea. So I hope that you'll take something that we've talked about today and you'll actually implement it. So far, I've covered here's my 5 strategies that help me accelerate the rest of the year. I immediately identify my core 3 things getting results now. I double down on them by giving them an hour more a day. I start looking at everything through the lens of, is this significant growth or not? If it's not, it's gone. If I'm not gonna touch it in the next 45 days, not this year. Then I go into delivering excellence, making sure that I'm doing whatever I'm doing, delivering it well, because the best way ever to continue growing is to have raving fans, and that's those who you deliver well for. And then get your team in place by September so you can crush the rest of the year. Big shout out to you for your commitment to your absolute mastery in life. To care enough to be in a high performance training, that sets you apart from thousands of other people who could be here, but you're here, trying to play your A game, trying to deliver with excellence, trying to ask the hard questions of life, like how do I get ahead faster? How do I do a better job? Why is it that some people struggle so much and other people succeed? Well, what I know about those who succeed, they're like you. They're here. They're committed to their ongoing training. They're listening, they're learning, they're taking the courses, they're going to the events, they're consuming the stuff that isn't entertainment driven, but it's empowerment driven. And that difference between those who like entertainment and those who seek clarity by doing things like this that are empowering, that makes all the difference in the world. So I want to give a big shout out to all of you for being here. These are personal habits that will really serve you. And most of them you probably won't want to do. And that's why you should do them. At least try me out. Try me out on these for 30 days. You'll be like, wow, I feel different. This is different. What a different approach. This first one I learned from a major consulting arrangement I happened to be on, where we analyzed the full executive schedules of some very influential people. And we broke down what they were doing, what their outputs were, what was necessary, how they were achieving their quarterly goals, their blah, blah, blah. And we saw something very elementary and so simple that they couldn't see. That their best hours of the day were going to sort of needless phone calls, needless meetings, that the best hours of the day when they were most mentally fresh, just like every other human being, they were giving it away to checking in, to do an email, to being somebody else's respondent versus getting things done. So this comes back to something I said earlier, and this is important. I've got this no meetings until noon rule. No meetings until noon. And we've implemented this. I mean, I don't know how many thousands of our students have implemented this, and they're like, oh my God, that changed my life. No meetings, no phone calls, nothing until noon or after lunch. And people are like, how could I do that? Well, you can't do that if you're in customer service because your job is actually responding. But most people watching this probably aren't, your job isn't in the customer service realm. Your job is probably in the value creation realm or the sales realm or the entrepreneurial realm. I know that of many of you guys from your surveys. And so I'm like, you know what? Create. Get your big projects done in the morning. Like, go for it. Like, there's this big myth, like you should just start with get small tasks done in the morning and you'll feel better about yourself and you get things going on. Yeah, who do they measure for that? Undergraduates? Who do they measure for that? Underperformers? Who do they measure for that? Kids in classrooms with surveys? In real life, where the stakes are high, where people are counting on you, where money matters, where projects need to get done, get at it. Wake up, warrior. Get up, get at it. Go to work. Get the job done. Don't wait. Too many of you give your mornings away, and it's stealing. Because look, isn't it true most afternoons always end up kind of being like a hot mess of catching up? Isn't it true? It's like, no matter what, your afternoon can tend to be a hot mess of catching up. Let your catching up then purposely happen in the afternoon instead of the morning. Don't catch up in the morning. Get stuff done in the morning. Catch up later. Respond later. I have a practice where I don't take any phone calls for me personally. Very rarely will I take a phone call before 1 p.m. I mean, it better be a burning issue. It better be somebody I've been trying to hunt down for 3 or 4 months to get them on a call. Very rarely will you, maybe twice a month, I'm on a phone call before 1 p.m. That's because I'm working. I'm pushing the rock forward in the mornings. I'm getting stuff done. I'm taking care of myself, getting my morning routines done. I'm achieving what I have to achieve. Now, some people say, well, you can't do that all the time, and you're right. When I'm on the road working for somebody else, like a keynote speech, if they're like, Brendon, we need you down at the keynote at 9 a.m., trust me, I'm there at 7 a.m. and ready. So if I'm on the road for somebody, yeah, that changes. But as a business owner, when I think about my career, I go, boy, my team, they don't want me fiddling around responding to dumb stuff. They want me making the money that pays the mortgages, that builds the brand, that builds the business, so we're all here, right? My team doesn't want me doing the piddly response shit in the morning. They want Brendon SWAT teaming. Because if I don't SWAT team, we don't move ahead. And that's the same thing for you, for your family, for your teams, for your career. And if you're like, well, Brendon, yeah, you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't apply to me. I work in the Fortune 100. I'm like, well, thank you for being here, because hundreds of people watching this belong to the Fortune something or rather. And I've worked with them and I've consulted with them and I spent my career there. I'm kind of known there. And partially the reason that I'm known there is because I'm getting people their mornings back. If you're still in reaction all morning, you are killing yourself and you don't know it. You're not even playing a quarter of your effectiveness. And this is based on real studies, meaning you're maybe playing at 25% of your potential for productivity during the week if you're consuming or responding or taking meetings and calls all morning. If we can just, and I'm not saying we could, I don't know your business or brand, I don't know if we can cut them all out, But I'm like, I bet easily you could cut half, minimum, easily you could cut half of the meetings out of your morning schedule, half of the calls out of like there wouldn't even be a blip. No one would complain, nothing would happen, nothing. You just say, you know what, Bob? I'm not gonna attend those Wednesday morning, 9 a.m., buttery donut eating sessions that you call meeting anymore. I got stuff to do. Just tell Bob, donut day is done. Get back at your work. I promise you'll be so happy. Like the world spends so much time in needless, dumb meetings, and you need to get out of it. So, second book recommendation of the day, if you haven't already read the book called Deep Work, it's basically a full volume talking about block time, which we've been teaching for 2 decades. So it's about you doing the deep work that really matters and getting rid of everything else. So today I recommended you read Measure What Matters so you actually know how to set up what matters. Then Deep Work says do the stuff that matters and really dig deep. Give it time. The largest productivity study done to date as of this filming was an app, a productivity app that tracked and responded to people. And it had over 2 million of people 2 million separate individuals who participated in this measurement of their time. And they went and they analyzed all the logs, and they found that the highest performing people, the most productive people, tended to work in blocks of 52 minutes dedicated to single tasks. 52 minutes was the average. I've always thought it was 50. They found 52. I was pretty close. 50 minutes of deep work on something. So that means in your morning, what do you have? You only have 3 or 4 of those blocks. It's not a lot. It doesn't mean that you can't do some in the afternoon, but if you want to feel good about your day again, get control of your morning again. And when I say morning, I mean the stuff before noon. And so give me a try on this. Try the no meetings until noon rule. And if you really want to go the extra mile, no meetings, no phone calls, and no emails, except for the emails that you send out. Remember, the way I prioritize my day is I have the people block, and there's the block where it says people I need to reach out to, and the other one that says people I'm waiting on. If I do email, I reach out to the people I need to reach out to first. I don't get stuck in my email because email is that tool for other people's agendas, not yours. So give it a try. If you've never done this before, I think you're gonna absolutely love me. And then when the Christmas comes around, I'm getting the cookies from all you guys. Okay, second big idea. No random trips from this point to the end of the year. This one is the hardest one. I told you you wouldn't want to do it. It's the hardest one for me. I turned down all the random trips. I mean, all of them. So, my friends, hey, Brendon, let's go here. Or, hey, Brendon, I got this conference coming over here. Or, family, hey, do you want to meet up here and do this thing? At this stage of the year, I'm like, not this year. Doesn't mean we can't do it another time, but it's like, I'm just like you got lots of family or friends or people or a team. They all want a date. They all want this. They all want that. I'm just no random trips. Doesn't mean I might not do a random night in my town or my city with some friends. Like, hey, you want to go to dinner? Yeah. But it's like, hey, do you want to go? Hey, we're all going skiing in Banff. You want to go? When? Next weekend. Not this year. Because if I'm this point in my life and my career, I should know my major travel obligations in the fall. It doesn't mean that I might not get an opportunity that's a significant growth thing. Maybe a company calls and says, hey, we want you to keynote and we're thinking about hiring your team as consultants or as coaches. Would you come on out? We'll pay your keynote fee of $75,000. I'm like, well, that day was available. It's $75,000. I can fly in, I can fly out and be home by that night. Sure, I'll take the $75,000. So it doesn't mean I might not take a business deal, but I won't take a business prospecting. Hey, Brendon, do you think you could come down and meet with us? We're founding a new podcast company. Where are you at? Oh, well, we're down here in Silicon Valley. Could you come down? I'm like, no. Pay me $100,000. Then that's a business deal. I will travel for a business deal, but not for some random business idea. Not at this point of the year. Because this point of the year, you should know your core 3, and you should know you're gonna SWAT team, because remember, you don't have that much time. And here's another reason for it. Outside of the business reasons to focus, I have found the years where I did random trip in September or October, what ended up happening? Oh my gosh, by the end of the year, I was crashing and burning. I was exhausted, I wasn't happy. I was tired because I was doing too many random trips. So for some of you, this is just a big lesson in learning how to say no, because that's what high performers have to do. But I'm trying to give you different categories and different ways of thinking about this, because some of you, look, your in-laws are asking you to do something and you're gonna go do it. When you know what, the in-laws will be there next year, not this year. You can quote me. Don't blame your spouse. Just say, well, Brendon said the in-laws are out. Okay, here next up, we gotta do it. Morning workout rule. So for me, I gotta switch up how I do it. Like in the summers, I tend to go into a kind of random workout mode. Like it doesn't really matter because it depends on, am I traveling? Am I doing this? I'm more relaxed. But when I hit August, it's every single morning for the rest of the year. Every morning, no matter where I'm at. And that, look, some of you guys get like, that's a lot. It might just be 20-minute HIIT training. It might be 20 minutes of burpees, push-ups, and sit-ups. It might be 20 minutes of the elliptical. It might be a 20-minute run. It might be a 20-minute brisk walk. It might be 20 minutes of, sit-ups. It doesn't matter what, there's gonna be 20 minutes of intense movement for me every day, starting in August, that pulls me out of that bad pina colada behavior if I had it in June or July, puts me back in place. Because here's the thing, you need to be healthy September 1. You need to be in your best shape. Like I always tell them, hey, the fall is your marathon, especially if you run your own business. Many of you guys are entrepreneurs. So I'm like, hey, enter September prime in your best health of the year, not getting into it. Because what happens, you're too busy in September and October. And it's true for everybody. And now if you don't get a rhythm going in August, you kind of you start in September, but you're already crashing and burning by the holidays. So I'm telling you, get your morning game on. If you don't already have it, work out in the morning, get it done the first thing in the morning. You'll be happy you did. Lots of people say, but Brendon, I'm better working out at so-and-so. I'm like, no. Get up. If that means you got to have your coffee or your Energizer, get it out of the way. Then no matter what happens in the day, you don't miss it. Because the first thing people do is they compromise their health to serve needless distraction or someone's sudden responsibilities or their false emergencies, like I talked about in the video earlier. And now you're basing your life off of someone else's false emergencies, so you don't work out. Well, I thought you needed this, so I didn't work out. I'm like, no, you could have gave it to me tomorrow. And so that's why I want you to get your workout. If you're extremely busy, clearly, if you haven't read High Performance Habits, we found that high performers worldwide are, gosh, I think they're 40, I can't remember. It's either 35 or 40% more likely to work out 5 times a week than all underperformers. So there is a correlation to your productivity and your ability to become a high performer based on how often you take care of the tempo. And I'm telling you, even though some of you have heard me talk about this before, I'm like, if you heard me talk about it, but you don't have a discipline yet of working out on a very consistent basis, give yourself 20 minutes every morning to get at it. Just 20 minutes, right? There's plenty of HIIT training. If you don't know how to do it, go to YouTube, type in 20-minute intense workout. And there's a million videos. Do one every morning. I promise you'll be so happy because too many people are really failing in the fall, man. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, they're dragging. And partially they're not recovered yet from their summer. Okay, I know I'm going. Next up, early dinner and sleep rule. Oh, this one's so hard for me. Thank God I'm married. Oh, my wife is good at this. She loves early dinner. She like early dinner. She doesn't mind staying up too late, but she likes to get the early dinner so she's not full when she goes to bed, so she sleeps better and feels better. And thank God I have that influence in my life because I'm just dumb. I mean, I'd be feeding my face at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I mean, I'm terrible at dinner. Like I'm really good at breakfast, great at lunch and horrible at dinner. Whenever, I'm just not scheduled at dinner. But my wife, thank God she came into my life. She's so good at the early dinner. She loves the early dinners. And so it's great because if you get your early dinner done, and there's a couple things. It's just gonna signal to your body, hey, it's evening, man. Slow it down a little bit. It's also gonna help you sleep so much better because there's nothing more important to high performers than those 7.5 or 8 hours of sleep. And if you're still of the mind that you can sleep 5 or 6 hours, I know I say this all the time, make sure you read Sleep Revolution. Once you understand that there's 50 years of indisputable science about the effects of less sleep than that on the brain, on health, on longevity, on mood, on marriages, and on business, you go, I am never going to compromise my sleep again. You will work so hard to ensure it. It's part of the reason I have that same idea I shared earlier, where in the morning, I set the time that I'm gonna stop working. I look at the agenda, I know what it is, and I set the time that I'm gonna stop working so that I can stop working, I can plan my evening with my lady, I can get ready for bed or talk with the family or do what I have to do, but I sleep and I am good at my 7 to 8 hours. I mean, I nail that 95% of the time. And it's something that I had to get good at. Like I said, you're not gonna wanna do these, except they're gonna change your life. I didn't want to go to bed earlier. I didn't want to sleep longer. But, it's just like my friend Robin Sharma talks about his 5 a.m. club. He's like, you can't do 5 a.m. club unless you go to bed a little earlier. And it's a good point. It's like very high achieving people, they tend to get up a little bit earlier. And so I think that's not in every country worldwide, but it's a good generalization. So I think if you can get yourself a little earlier dinner, you'll tend to go to bed a little earlier, you'll sleep better, and then you're up ready to rock everything we've talked about so far. Last big thing, and I'll knock it out, and that is this last big personal habit, which is so important, your inner circle expectation conversations. What does that mean? I want you to think about your family or your core team members or your core clients, and I want you to think about the rest of the year. And I want you to have a conversation with them about their expectations about what do you think has to happen the rest of this year? I just did this with my wife. Like, what do you think we need to get done, or what's really important that we make sure we do by the end of the year? And you can do that with multiple family members. You can do that with core team members or core clients. But having an expectation, like just start having that conversation. What do you guys need by the end of the year? What do we need to do by the end of the year? Start having that conversation with everybody. Just start kicking that up. It doesn't have to be right now, but definitely by the time you hit in this September, make sure that conversation has been had so everyone kind of knows what it is. And then, many of you all know, I think it is the secret to a great marriage. On Sundays, looking at the upcoming week with your spouse or your partner or your lover and saying, what's going on for you this week? Do you need anything from me this week? What are we working on this week? What are you stressed about this week? Just having that expectation conversation with people in advance. It's just like I told you, if you're really busy, you have to say sometimes, hey honey, I gotta let you know, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it's crazy. So Thursday, we'll go do this. That simple conversation gets the relationships of your life more engaged in your achievement. It creates more space for people to be actually in your life. And so I hope you'll start doing that. It's a game changer, just like all of these are. I know we covered a lot of big ideas today and tons of training. This is one of my favorite sessions we've ever done. I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, go perform at your best because the world needs you at your best. Hey, it's Brendon. I just want to thank you for watching my channel. There's so many other teachings and trainings on this channel, so please enjoy. Thanks for being here. Also, for those who want to go to another level, I have an upcoming Certified High Performance Coach Certification Week. This is where I teach you and certify you to become a world-class life coach. We call them Certified High Performance Coaches. You can click the link in the description right now to apply and to learn about our upcoming certification week. If you want to go to another level as a life coach and you want me to certify you and help you, make sure you click that link and take advantage of it right now. Enrollment is open today.